I was shocked Nigerians voted Tinubu despite promising to remove petrol subsidy. Adebayo speaks. Presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party SDP in 2023 general election in a interview spoke on the President Bola Tinubu's economic policies, the rising fuel prices, and the importance of youth participation in politics, among other topics. In Yobong, Iwok bring the assets. They asked him, "What will you say about our democracy in a situation where, despite calls to empower the youth, we face rising fuel prices and allegation of intimidation and harassment of dissenting voices?" He replied, "Well, it is not unusual because democracy is a concept. It is a flexible concept, and the texture of it is under pressure from different directions. Those who are in government have some powers given to them by the people, and sometimes they don't know the limits of these powers, and sometimes they go beyond them. So, democracy is a pressure cooker. So the food in the pressure cooker cooks well because of the heat inside the pressure cooker trying to escape, and the pressure cooker keeping it inside. That is what makes you to have that balance. That is why you can have a pressure cooker working for you. It is never a concluded argument. As different characters attain power, they bring different manifestation. That is what you see. What are your concerns? For prices increase? That is one debate that we should put an end to, because electorally, we decided that we are going to vote for those who said they'll remove subsidy. And the implication of now is the feedback we are getting from the market and the feedback we are getting from the people who are experiencing it. So if people change their mind, given the experience they are going through, and when they have their next opportunity, they will consider that. Concerning what is happening with law enforcement agents, especially concerning the arrest of our Labour leader, Ajeru, and the invasion, as it were, the Office of the Social and Economic Rights Action Program, SHIRA, I think 3 things we need to know clearly. 1. Despite being in democracy, law enforcement must do their work. So there is no debating that if you're a Labour leader, or you run an NGO, or you're a presidential candidate, or someone in government, the police, the law enforcement agencies have the right to interact with you where they think you have broken the law. So that is not what we are complaining about, but there is a rule of law. There's a process of doing things, and especially the timing. When you're doing something at a time and it looks like there is a conflict and the government over policy issues or other issues, law enforcement should try to be above board. I will not second guess them, but I do not think they had a reasonable ground to believe that Joe Ajaero was running away from Nigeria forever. So if he was going for a conference, yes, you are invited by law enforcement agents, you are supposed to go. But law enforcement agents do have a right. They must send reminders. So if you do not go, they send you a second reminder. And if he travels for an international engagement where he is representing Nigeria, they should let him go and do his function. When he returns, they'll send another reminder. If he doesn't go, they should get a count order and get him arrested. So this is what you should do. Concerning Serap, I've listened to the argument after I used my publication on it, or my opinion on it, where they said they need to explain. I was happy to see that they explained, but listening to the explanation, there is no good reason stated in there. I do not know if they are keeping some things because of investigation, but there is no good reason for stalking them or going to their offices like that. There are better ways to do investigation these days if you are doing them genuinely, not to intimidate people or harass them. I must say something clearly which you must understand. When you run an NGO all over the world, law enforcement must watch you because NGOs are special purpose vehicles that international spies, foreign spies, use to penetrate a country. I am sure you read the news where the FBI in America is not prosecuting some NGOs in America who got money from Russia. So people who want to undermine your democracy can use any institution to do it. The NGO should not even be an exception if there is a suspicion. However, there are 3 steps you can take. 1, if you think an NGO is being infiltrated by foreign elements, you try to alert them because they may not know. 2nd, if you think that they are complicit in working against national security, then the national interest, do your investigation discreetly and let an independent agency like the judiciary be aware of it. Thirdly, try as much as possible to give confidence to the civil society that law enforcement is not being used to support the government of today in its politics. One of the things I had in mind if I had won election to be the Nigerian president was to stop the police and the Department of State Services, DSS, from interacting with the government and from following politicians around. That is why in the US we have the Secret Service. The Secret Service does not investigate crimes or follow you around. Their job is to protect the government. The FBI does not protect the VIPs, it's just law enforcement. It is if the life of a VIP is in danger, they can allow the police or other people to say, go and do something to protect them. So as we should separate those who follow politicians all around from those who have to enforce the law, because that way there is no suspicion, because there are two extremes. Again, you do not want the police to become a tool rather of politics or harassing people, which is essentially what they have been doing over time. And the same thing with DSS, who have to clearly draw that line. Yes, because there was why when we were running for presidency, I knew that one of the greatest mistakes you could ever make was to adopt a policy of removing subsidies, because the gravitational force of the market would drive the price towards equilibrium. And the equilibrium, not to sound too technical, is where supply and demand meet reliably and sustainably. If you have this price, you can continue to supply that product without failure. You should have to get other costs to get that product to the market to meet the buyer. The price will pay you the cost plus an element of profit. So I knew that. But you cannot do that because there are so many externalities and imperfections in the system that will not make you to be the wisest decision you make. More so, with all the noise being made around subsidies, I felt there was an exaggeration of the physical burden of subsidy, and those include the burden of palliative, the burden of price dislocation, the burden of lower productivity and social and civil unrest. But when you put all those other costs together, they far outweigh the other costs together. They far outweigh the cost of maintaining subsidy by a factor of 5 to 1. So it will not be a good decision for anyone to say, I'm going to remove subsidy as president. They asked, if you had won the election, you wouldn't have removed the subsidy? He replied, no, of course I would not. I've said it, though the people who scored the highest vote, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and Governor Tinubu, who incidentally was advised by Professor Patutomi, said you were going to remove subsidy. The candidate of the Labour Party said he will remove subsidy on day one, so the issue is a bad decision. Alright, on this note, we've come to the end of the news. We say thank you for tuning in to listen. Till I come your way next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.